Hi, I'm John the Maple Guy, here in northern Ontario, about 2 hours northeast of Toronto. I'm here today to tell you a little bit about Canadian sugaring and how you can do it at home and with very little cost and a heck of a lot of fun. So what you see here is a design that I came up with, and I wanted to be as true to it as possible by using as much reclaimed materials as possible. Almost everything that you see here was gotten from a garbage dump or from garbage day or friends and families that were taking things out to garbage. Everything from the industrial drum here to the door for feeding the firewood, temperature gauge, all the poles were from old tents, I would imagine. All the piping was reclaimed piping. Unbelievable how much you can actually build in terms of things and raw materials that you can get from refuse facilities, etc. Even the boiling pan, you can see, is really nothing but an inverted barbecue lid, which is all aluminum. It's meant for a lot of heat, so it's perfect, and it's thick enough too, so you don't have to worry about that. Some of the other things that you may notice is a warming pan here where you preheat the sap. Some of these implements from dollar stores, etc., real easy to get. Ladle, skimmer for the foam, etc. Even inside the pre-filter that I put together here, there's a gold coffee filter, the same kind that you have your morning brew and filter it through, not the paper ones, but the steel ones, the reusable ones. And I had an old one from an old coffee maker, and so I simply cut out a piece of it and put it in the pre-filter, which does an excellent job in taking out refuse, etc. So I started boiling about 10 minutes ago. It's just about 7:30 now, April 2nd. So this is my second batch. This setup here will boil approximately 15 liters an hour of sap. So I would imagine I'm going to be here for at least 6 hours today because I've got quite a bit of sap. I tap trees down in the city, and then I also tap trees around here. All of them are tapped through the tubing system, which I'll talk about a little bit later. The key to starting things off, other than the collection, is bringing it to a boil. And the important thing is, when you're bringing sap to the boil, to take a reading, because everything begins and ends with the first reading you take of that water that's boiling. In this particular case, I have a digital candy thermometer, which you can pick up, again, almost anywhere for under 10 bucks. They also have the old-fashioned candy thermometers that look like a large thermometer. So I like this. It's a little bit more specific, and it's a lot easier to read for me. So in terms of these, I took a reading this morning as soon as it came to a boil, and it was at 99.5 degrees Celsius. There's one thing that you need to know, is that the boiling point of water is very rarely 100 degrees. I know that's what the textbooks say, but textbooks are just that, textbooks. Depending on barometric pressures, it can boil less than 100, it can boil over 100. So it's real important to take that temperature as soon as it comes to a boil. The reason being is sap is officially syrup when it hits 4 degrees Celsius above the boiling point of water that you read when you started out. So we'll keep adding sap all day, all day, all day, until I've gone through all that I'm going to boil. And then you'll see slowly, as the pan gets more and more evaporated of water, you'll see more syrup and sugar content in the remaining fluid. And as you get really close to finishing the syrup, you will notice that the temperature will very quickly climb. Sometimes within a few seconds it'll start climbing. So you got to be really on top of it. And wait till you smell it. The aroma of this pan in about 2-3 hours after you start getting a concentration. It's absolutely amazing, incredible. One of the other key things to remember when you're doing this sort of thing is that you have to boil it as hard and fast as humanly possible. So you stoke a really good fire in here, making sure that you've got a lot of heat. And when you're doing something like this, I like to build a fire close to the entrance because the heat will move towards the back anyway, so you don't need to pile a ton of wood into the entire burn chamber. It just needs to be in about the first 1/2 to 1/3 of the chamber. And I always keep a bunch of cut wood, and I use a mix of hardwood and softwood, only because it's available. But you notice that the sizes have been split to a uniform size. And I do this for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's easier to handle. Number two is they catch fire a lot quicker. And you want to get the heat out of this as fast as possible so that you can keep the boiling going. Once you do get it to a steady boil, and you'll know it because you get all kinds of bubbling, and it'll be bubbling all over the pan, not just in one location, then you continue to add sap. And we'll talk about that in the next segment.